This is the Phylanice Nashe Experience Podcast. Hello, world, and welcome to the Phylanice Nashe Experience Podcast, an audio series of lighthearted and sometimes third eye opening conversations on entrepreneurship, leadership, and relationships from the African American perspective. I am your host, Phylanice Nashe. Welcome. The racial wealth gap makes funding for Black entrepreneurs difficult. According to Crunchbase News, the first step towards solving venture capital's diversity problem is investing in minority founders. We have a solution, and it's called the Bridge Resource Partnership Fund, started and funded in 2018 by Nashville entrepreneur and philanthropist Dr. Turner Nash Jr., with the purpose of helping Black-owned businesses bridge that funding gap. So today is part 2 of our Funding Black-owned businesses through the Bridge Resource Partnership Fund panel discussion. Part 1, we met with Dr. Nash along with 3 community leaders who partnered with him on this effort, the why behind the fund's creation, the impact of the fund on its recipients, and most importantly, how you can apply for this funding. Today, we are chatting with the 5 Black women-owned business founders who received the first round of funding from the Bridge Resource Partnership Fund. We are also joined by one of the community partners who manages the application process. So let's introduce our guests. First, we have Amelia Watts, Vice President of Commercial Relationship Manager at Studio Bank here in Nashville, Tennessee.
Hi.
Hey, Amelia.
How are you?
Good. I'm great. Next, we have Domonique Townsend, founder of We Optimize Work. Hey. And then next, we have Jewell Winn, co-founder of Lighthouse on the Lake Private Club and Event Center. Hi, Dr. Winn.
Hello. How is everybody?
Good. We're glad you're here today. Next up is Naila Burnett, founder of Energy Juice and Yoga here in Nashville. Hey, Naila.
Good afternoon. Hello, everyone.
Hey. Next up is Ashley Brooke James, co-founder of Triluna Wellness.
Hello, ladies.
Hey, Ashley.
Hi.
And finally, we have Tanisha Hall, CEO and founder of Fairpoint Planning.
Hello, everyone.
Hey. It's a lot of us today, but we're going to get through this and just make sure everyone's mic is on so we can hear you when it's your time to be called up. So welcome to the show. Audience members, thank you very much for tuning in. We're just going to jump right on into it. So first, I want to introduce Amelia. Like I mentioned, she's the Vice President of Commercial Relationship Management at Studio Bank here in Nashville. She has been the liaison at that community partner for the fund and has been handling a lot of the application process. And most of our recipients today worked with Amelia on receiving their funding through the Bridge Resource Partnership Fund. So Amelia, let's just kind of jump into it and give a recap to the folks who are watching as to what the Bridge Resource Partnership Fund is and how someone can, apply or, look towards these funds. If you want to just kind of give us a recap about what the fund is.
Yes, absolutely. So the Bridge Resource Partnership Fund is a fund of truly just donor funds that was raised by several in the Nashville community who had an interest in supporting Black-owned businesses in a way that we could bridge the gap between ownership and wealth. So what we've done is that partnership is in connection with Studio Bank. So Studio Bank actually lends the money out, and the fund actually guarantees that those funds are available to support the loan itself as collateral. So the way that you can apply for the fund is reaching out to Studio Bank or myself at amelia.watts@studiobank.com. There are a couple of other partnerships that we have in the community as well. So if you attend Watson Grove Community Church, There are some connections there that you can leverage to reach out to me as well. Or you can even just call the bank and ask for me.
Awesome. Awesome. So you mentioned just briefly that, and this is a distinguisher between this fund and other funds. And I also, kind of highlight this, that this is a loan. It's not a grant towards that, towards a business. It is a loan. And it's for businesses who are past the startup phase and past the proof of concept, who are in the position that they want to grow. And the guaranteeing of the loan is what distinguishes this program from other loan programming. And we'll kind of get into the nuts and bolts a little bit more. But what I want to do, because the stars of the show are the five of you ladies who have received this funding in this first round. So what I'll do is I will start with Domonique. Just give us your name, your business name, what your business does, where you're located in Nashville, because some of you do have storefronts and brick and mortar. And then how long you've been in business, and what did your business do with the Bridge Resource loan funding that you received? So Domonique, why don't you start us off and tell us a little bit about yourself and We Optimize Work?
Well, hi, I'm Domonique Townsend. I'm the founder and chief employee experience engineer for We Optimize Work. And I help corporations create and design human-centered work approaches to improve the operational gaps that exist in engagement, productivity, and satisfaction in the workplace, particularly for women and moms of color. We're located in Nashville. I work out of the co-working spaces at the Nashville Entrepreneur Center, as well as the Women's Business Collective, which is not that far from the Nashville Entrepreneur Center. I work out of those locations because most of my work is done directly on site with corporations. We've been in business since 2019. So I took the leap in June of 2019. We Optimize Work was incorporated in March of 2019. And with the loan money, we were able to invest in experts who were able to help us with our fine-tune our service offerings, define a clear sales strategy and strategic planning that was purposed to help position us better for B2B partnerships. We were also able to catch up on payroll, which is very important to keep your business flowing. So for the We Optimize Work team, I do have a team that's one employee and one that is a contracted role. So I was able to catch up on the payroll expenses for them and continue to give us a runway for using the loans. The last thing we were able to do was invest in a software development consultant who helped us with the needs for our next stage for our pilot that we're looking to launch very soon.
Awesome. Thank you. And if anyone wants to hear Domonique's backstory, she's been a guest on the Phylanice Nashe Experience Podcast. So check out her story. It's one of inspiration. When she says she took the leap, she really, really took the leap into entrepreneurship. So next up is Dr. Jewell Winn, co-founder of Lighthouse on the Lake Event Center. So Dr. Winn, take it away.
Thank you, Phylanice, and thank you to my colleagues who've joined today. Lighthouse on the Lake is a multi-purpose facility. My husband and I founded this in August of 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic. We're located in Hendersonville. I know it sounds a long way, but it's just 2 miles from Rivergate, which is north of Nashville in the Goodlettsville area. We provide multiple services. We're very proud of our signature Sunday brunch. It's a jazz Sunday brunch on the second and fourth Sunday of every month. We are a full service restaurant to our members because we're a private club. So you can join our private club and get access to our brunch, private dining, discounts on rentals, access to lunch and dinner through our member services line. We also have a jazz lounge downstairs. So we host concerts. We have concert series throughout the year. And we also have a Tuesday night jazz jam session that is held every Tuesday with different bands. And if you're a musician or talented, you get to sit in with the bands. And then, of course, we are the rental facility. So we rent the facility for all types of events, from birthdays to weddings to graduation parties to everything that you can think of. So we're very proud of the variety of services that we're able to offer. We use the funding to help us primarily with the PPE, the things that we needed to ensure that we were COVID conscious. We purchased a lot of the gloves and the hand sanitizer and things like that were needed. We also were able to get our membership software done, as well as the machine to get the cards and things like that. So the loan came at a perfect time, because this opportunity just came at us like all of a sudden. So it was perfect timing, and we're so thankful for it.
Thank you. Thank you for that recap, Dr. Winn. And I have to say that we have been to the Sunday brunch multiple times. And if you have not been, you are missing a real treat. The food is wonderful. Dr. Winn's husband, Timothy Winn, is an excellent cook. His staff is wonderful. And he also has a tea that is sold in the airport as well, too. And we'll cap that towards the end. But just want to brag a little bit. And Dr. Winn has also been a guest on the podcast. Check out her episode. She talks about being in entrepreneurship with her spouse. All right, next up, Naila Burnett. You have been the one that we've been chatting about the most about success stories for this fund. Naila is the founder of Energy, Juice, and Yoga. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about you and your business, and what did you use the funds for?
Absolutely. So good afternoon again. I'm Naila Burnett, the founder of Energy, Juice, and Yoga, which is a combined cold press juice bar and yoga studio. We are the first and only of our kind here in Nashville that have both a juice bar and a yoga studio in one facility. We opened up our doors in July of 2021, which for the most part, that's basically where we took and put all of our funding was into the build out of our juice bar and our yoga studio.
Oh. And you just had a baby, and congratulations on that. So you had opened a juice bar, opened a storefront, built it out, and had a new one. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ashley Brooke James, co-founder of Triluna Wellness. Tell us about you and your business.
Yes, thank you for having me here. I am Ashley Brooke James. I'm one of the co-founders of Triluna. We are a wellness company that specializes in stress management and burnout prevention. We have a concierge service to corporate. So we go, and that's both virtually and in person. But we are headquartered out of the Nashville Entrepreneur Center. That's where we work out of that co-working space. We have been in business for, it'll be 4 years in September. 2 years of our business was spent in a global pandemic, but we made it through. So the funds came at a really good time, because we took the focus of our business to stress management, which was one of the services that was one of our top sellers. So we kind of rebranded and put stress management at the front of our wellness. And we use the money to help us do just that. We are developing an online course for both our corporate and community partners that they can do to help better understand stress, and tools and tactics to help them manage their stress. We also have an ebook that we created at the beginning of our business. And because of the rebrand, we needed to add more things and just kind of, jazz it up. And we hired a book coach to do that. So the funds were used in that way, and we are so grateful again.
Thank you. And lastly, Tanisha Hall, CEO and founder of Fairpoint Planning. Tell us a little bit about you and your business.
Sure. Thank you so much, Phylanice, for having me. And thanks everyone on the panel for just being here today. We really appreciate it. My name is Tanisha Hall. I am the CEO and founder of Fairpoint Planning. Fairpoint Planning is a management consulting firm, and we basically develop transportation plans for organizations that are responsible for public transportation, like TDOT, WeGo, or some of the cities and counties across the state of Tennessee. And we just recently moved outside of the state. Basically, we use research, public engagement and outreach, and a lot of data analysis and data visualization to help tell people's transportation stories and help understand what issues we're trying to solve for, so we can develop good solutions for them. We started Fairpoint back in December 2018 after I left working for Tennessee Department of Transportation as a long-range planning director. And I had a long 2019, a very long 2020 and 2021. So when I did get the funding for the Bridge program, it was a real relief because projects were just starting to move again, and I needed a piece of software that I could not afford if I hadn't had the Bridge program. So I purchased the software, and it definitely helped me out a lot. And another thing that I was trying to do with the funds was also establish a line of business credit. That's something that's really needed in my field, to have a line of credit. So because I do a lot of government contracts, and a lot of times they take a little bit longer to pay consultants. So we definitely need to have that bridge of funding there. So this program is helping me establish my business credit, so I can then go out on the open market and have business credit in the future.
And you're also located in Nashville. Do you have a storefront as well, or a location where people can come and meet with you?
Actually, no, I primarily go to visit clients, but I do a lot of work outside of in the Entrepreneur Center also, as well as just working in different places around Nashville. I primarily go visit with clients. So.
Awesome. And I wanted to also mention that Naila's business, the storefront, is on Buchanan Street. So if anyone wants to come by and visit and get some pressed juice, or take a yoga class, they can visit her location there on Buchanan. So the next topic that we're going to talk about with our recipients is just a little bit of a round robin of a mishmash of questions, which I kind of anticipated that some of the listeners may be wanting to know, because in the first session, Dr. Nash had mentioned, that this is not for a startups per se, but a business that is in its growth pattern. And so the first thing I'm going to ask for some feedback on is, on your entrepreneurship journey, how did you know that you needed money or a loan? Where were you in your entrepreneurship journey? What was going on? This may help some individuals to kind of gauge where they are and maybe they should approach for the loan. But where were you in your entrepreneurship journey, and how did you know that you were at that growth stage? Who would like to take that question first? Okay, I'll go with Ashley, and then we'll follow up with Domonique.
I knew that we needed money when the work got bigger than us. Over the pandemic, we fortunately were able to go global, and our work kind of just started piling in, and we needed help. And we had to hire a back-end team to kind of help us manage a lot of things. And I think people forget that, a lot of entrepreneurs feel like we have to do everything. But in order for us to be able to grow, we have to be able to, prioritize and delegate, and being able to bring on a team to help you with that growth. So for me, I would say when we expanded internationally and our work started to pick up, we needed the internal help to grow our core team. So employees, payroll, it's going to be one of the biggest expenses, but you need that in order to continue growth.
Awesome. And that's a good flex point also. When your business is growing and you can't manage that business, then that means you're in a growth spurt. You need to hire, you need to bring on some talent to help you manage that. Domonique, tell us about your situation.
Yes, for me, I knew that I needed to start looking for funding when I got intentional about knowing my numbers. So the business was doing very successful. We were booking webinars and facilitated keynotes. And what I found was, okay, the sales cycle of when corporations pay are 30 days or 60 days. And how I planned my forecast, it was based off of each month. Okay, I'm going to book this, I'll get paid this month. I'm going to book this, I'll get paid this month. But what I found in knowing my numbers is the actual payday and going back and reflecting to say, when did I actually get paid for that booking? how does that impact payroll? How does that impact other expenses? And then I look to see, where do I want to go as a company? How do we want to grow? What are the things that we need that to accelerate to get to where we're trying to go? And so I saw a gap in like Ashley mentioned, with the payroll and covering expenses that equip you to still keep running well and be on the path of growth, but also it allows you to have the necessary help. So I was able to onboard my team member that works with me now, but it was getting very clear in knowing those numbers and saying, based off of this forecast, companies are actually paying this time. Now that I'm more aware of the sales cycle, let's get ahead of that curve and have a cash flow show up to where we can give them the full quality of services, having money up front to handle those things. So when the company gets the service, I'm able to fulfill that service and not where they're questioning the quality of the service because the cash wasn't there on the front end. So just learning those things, I knew I needed to get funding. And that's when I started reaching out and just trying to learn more about what that looks like.
Thank you for sharing that. Does anyone else want to add any color, Naila, to, when did you know that you needed to search for additional funds for the business?
Yeah, for us, for Energy, it had been such a long journey of bootstrapping so much of the operation. I mean, we had been working to fulfill this vision all the way back as far as 2013. And so there's only so much that, you can physically do with something so tangible as juice and something so necessary as an in-person service as yoga on money from, working a job. We needed to be able to grow. But for me, the pivotal moment came in two forms. The first was we had hit a milestone. We had finally gotten consideration for a lease for physical property. And that was a goal of ours. Once we knew we were going to need to build out the juice bar and the yoga studio, definitely knew that we needed to grab some more cash in some way, shape, or form, whether loan or grant or any of that, to make that possible. And then the second piece of that was just getting to the point of knowing that the brick and mortar was only the first step. And we needed to make a big impact really quickly in order to be able to grow to the next couple of steps, a couple of years down the road, and had exhausted personal savings to the point where it just made more sense to seek out more funding.
Thank you for that. And I think of many businesses, you mentioned the term bootstrapping. And I put up a statistic where a majority, even though there have been a lot of growth with women-owned businesses being started or, created, many are bootstrapping. And so with that being said, there does come a point where, you have contracts, you have, this potential, this point of growth where you need to have an infusion of cash. And so there are a variety of different vehicles to do that, including loans. So where do you all see yourselves? So we talked about growth and we talked about understanding and knowing where you were in the process to know that you recognized that you needed to have some additional funding. Planning, Domonique, you mentioned planning. Does anyone want to chime in on the question as to, what are your long range goals now that you've had this infusion of cash? You've had a loan, you've done these wonderful things with your business. What are your long range goals since receiving the fund? Where do you now have that aha moment to breathe and say, this is where we're going next? Who would like to take that question first or answer that question first? Go ahead, Naila.
Well, I mentioned too, just knowing that we want to grow. The long-term plan for Energy is definitely to have a presence in multiple locations. For us right now, the short-term goal is break even, scale with repeatable processes. And it sounds silly to say, hey, there's processes and systems all in juice and yoga. Juice and yoga, so like, oh, loopy and carefree. But in order for the business itself to grow, for the scaling part to happen, that near-term goal for us is stability, to break even, to become profitable, and then to repeat our systems so that we can move into a couple of different storefronts, both physical storefronts and what we have is a state-of-the-art vending machine that allows us to extend our juices outside of our storefront without having to have a physical storefront presence. That's something that's a near-term goal for us in order to be able to grow to the 2025 target that we've got, which is 5 stores, 10 vending machines, and then to be able to have a fleet of yoga instructors that can teach both from studios and to go to different locations to teach on site. All of that is definitely possible by having this pilot place, this pilot location where we're able to figure things out. And it's not pretty. It's definitely not beautiful. You know, we have some months and some weeks where we're like, oh God, you know, how are we really going to make it to the next week or the next month? But the process of it is what we're learning. And we're learning, you know, that every day is an opportunity to figure out how to meet the daily goal so that we can get to the point of meeting the near-term goal. And that'll set us up to meet our long-term growth goals.
Well said. And that spoke of some great, I hope everyone was listening. Those are some great nuggets of wisdom to know that it's not cute all the time. You know what I mean? You're going to have some moments and reflection. It's going to have some times when you are like, why did I do this? Why did I start this? It is not going to be all glitz and glamour. Domonique, I think you were going to chime in and jump in about long-term goals since having the funding.
Yeah, the level of confidence in having the funding, it greatly positions us. One thing that I did learn was speaking with the software consultant. I was closer to the next phase than what I thought, and the rebranding that I was originally going to use some of the money for with rebranding and software, we got to say we need to have better positioning and strategic approaches for B2B clients. So it was very significant in being able to speak with those experts, invest in those experts to help support We Optimize Work. So that supports our long-term goals. I want We Optimize Work, or I seek for We Optimize Work to be a #1 consulting boutique firm that specializes in operational approaches that improve engagement, productivity, and satisfaction for employees. And in 3 to 5 years, I would like for us to have an exit, start planning for exit for the technology side of our consulting firm, and then go long-term, just being that #1 consulting firm. And by the end of this year, I'll seek for us to be the top 10 in the nation of the consulting boutique firm that specializes in our operational approaches for employee experience. So that's the goal for We Optimize Work, is just really having an impact, establish channel partnerships with other organizations that complement what we do, and then looking into, as we prepare for exit, looking into one of those channel partners to purchase or buy out the technology side of what we do with our business.
That's awesome. You said exit. I love that. Haven't been part of, 2 exits in our family portfolio. It is something that is possible. And when you hear someone say that, and, it's a Black-owned business, some people don't see that their business has grown enough to even talk about exit. So we're going to be watching your journey, Domonique, as you grow your business and ready for exit. Anyone else want to speak to what the future holds, what your long range goals are now that you've breached this gap with the Bridge Resource Partnership Funds?
I'll jump in just for a second. Tim had, of course, this is Tim's dream, and I am doing the best that I can to support him in this dream. But he wants to franchise Lighthouse, and we've already been approached by someone in Chattanooga. They talk about the river that they have there, and they love the concept. They love the vision that we have, and they've talked to us about it. And I told Tim, just kind of slow down a little bit, because we want to make sure that we have everything the way we want it here, because we grew really, really fast. And it was a bit scary in the middle of the pandemic. It's like, how could we be doing this much business in the middle of the pandemic? And so to be able to now pivot to understand why the previous owner, she was closed for 3 months. And I'm like, oh, there's no way we'll be closed for 3 months. We've got to make the money and blah, 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 blah. I see now why she was closed for 3 months, and how the business slows down in those winter months and it picks back up. But it wasn't so slow that we had to shut down. It just, we know now we have to scale back. So in those winter months, but the long-term goal I know for Tim is to franchise at least 2 more where they're waterfront properties, probably in the next 3 to 5 years. But also, more importantly than anything, is to make sure that we are totally operationalized. Like, we just finished our standard of operation procedures for across the board, and making sure that we're in a position to have consistent staffing. So we just signed on with a temporary agency that helps get us day people in the hospitality industry. And that has been a lifesaver for us. And I have no doubt that making sure that we can keep abreast of what's happening in the industry is going to be able to help us get to that point where we can franchise at least 2 to 3 more lighthouses on the lake, as my husband says that he must have. So that's what we are.
Go, Jewell. Go, Tim. I love that franchising thing. We're going to be watching you because there are some people in hospitality I've been contacted by now who are in franchising, bought a franchise, and are stuck in a situation. So definitely keep us abreast of that, because that is amazing work. And you mentioned something very important when it comes to business is documenting your processes, having an operations manual so that it is always able to be replicated, that it's documented so that when other people come in, they can go from step 1 to step 2. It can't all reside here. It has to be on paper. That's just business 101. Ashley, I think you wanted to mention something about what your long range goals are.
I mean, I can piggyback off of Jewell's. It's the whole operations and the processes and procedures. We're having these conversations now. As our business grows, that back end of the house has to grow as well. And what we're realizing a lot of times with our corporate clients, to kind of go what Domonique said as well, is like just keeping up with the software. We do a lot of, one-on-one type things, and we understand that we can't scale our business like that. So, I mean, I hope till one day, I'm not trying to say that we're going to be comms, competition, but we might. But I would love to be on a level where people could go on an app and just get all of our resources when they wanted them. And I think for us, it's really just focusing on the processes and the procedures, ways to enhance our software, and the ability to continue to create meaningful content.
Beautiful, beautiful. We'll be watching you as well in Triluna. So we're going to shift gears a little bit. We're going to get back to the process of applying for the loan. So I think pretty much everyone here worked with Amelia. I think with the exception of maybe Jewell, worked with Amelia, but it all worked with Studio Bank. It all went through Studio Bank for the processing, the underwriting, and the servicing of the loans. And so Amelia is our current point of contact there at Studio Bank. And so I just briefly, Amelia, if you could just kind of run through what the loan process, the application process is for the Bridge Resource Partnership Fund, and what kind of documentation should a person who's applying be prepared to provide? Because we heard finances and financial statements and that kind of thing, but we just want to make sure everyone is aware of what's all involved. So can you speak to that?
Sure. So the first step in the process is actually having a conversation with me. So I will schedule a call with you and any other business owners, and we'll just go through, what your business model is. You can tell me what your short-term and long-term goals are. That's something that we really like to hear. It was great hearing everyone share what their long-term goals are. And that's something that I like to hear on the front end. I also want to know, what you'll be using the funds for. That's important as well, because there are a variety of uses for this fund, some of which have already been mentioned on the call today, and all of which are acceptable uses of the loan funds. So once you've actually had that initial conversation with me and we've decided that this is something that you want to move forward to applying for, I will send you an application and a list of supporting documentation that needs to go with your application. So that supporting documentation includes a personal financial statement. That's something that I think every business owner should have at all times and keep up to date, at least, if not every 6 months, once a year. So those are things like your assets and liabilities, what sort of debts you have, and then monthly payments on any debts that you currently have, et cetera. Another thing is we need to take a look at 2 years of tax returns. So that's the whole purpose of, us wanting to make sure that you have operational experience under your belt, because you will have at least 2 years of tax returns if you are applying to this fund. We also want to look at a balance sheet to determine what assets you have, what collateral you have from the previous year, and a profit and loss statement from the previous year as well. In addition to that, we may ask for your personal tax returns as well, since you're going to be developing a relationship with the bank. So we need to see, what you're doing personally as well. And really that's going to be the bulk of what we're looking for. We also ask for entity documentation, which everyone should have if you've registered your business with the Secretary of State. So things like articles of organization, articles of incorporation, articles of corporation. Or if you've got, if you're a sole proprietor, a driver's license is going to be sufficient for moving forward with the application process.
Thank you for sharing that. And just to kind of recap what the purpose of the fund is and who kind of qualifies, and Amelia, you can chime in on this as well too. Again, this program is for Black-owned businesses in the Middle Tennessee, Davidson County, Middle Tennessee area, who are, again, past that startup phase, who are now seeking funds for a growth phase in their business. And I would just encourage you, if you are not quite sure exactly whether or not you qualify, go ahead and give Amelia a call. Because at that point, you will be establishing a relationship with a bank, which is something that you need to have anyway as a small business. And whether or not you qualify for this loan, they do a wonderful job on offering a multitude of different options for small businesses there at Studio Bank. We bank at Studio Bank. All of these ladies bank at Studio Bank. And there's a plethora of other Black-owned businesses in Nashville that work with Studio Bank. It is a community bank, and you should have a relationship with a community bank in your area. And Studio Bank is wonderful with that. Was there anything that I missed, Amelia, on the qualifications?
Nothing that you missed, other than there's one, I think, question that a lot of people have asked me lately is, can a nonprofit organization apply for funds through the Grove Guarantee Initiative? And the answer is actually no. It's just for-profit businesses. So I just wanted to clear that up. So unfortunately, this is not for non-for-profits.
Right. Thank you for making that clarification. That question has come up, and it has come up very recently. So what I want to move to, I want to wrap things up here and give some latitude for you all to give a final call to action, final thought, words of wisdom that you may want to impart on anyone who is watching this from your perspective. I will start with Domonique. Any call to action, final words, or words of wisdom that you want to impart on the watchers and listeners?
When I think about this entrepreneurship roller coaster, which is what it is, and I always say, put your name in a hat. And when you are have questions about things, don't count yourself out. One of the things when it gets to the scope of this conversation with seeking funding and looking at the traditional route and getting very intimidated by what the banking altogether, anything around that, put your name in a hat. It was due to opening a conversation and being transparent and where I was at. And like, I have these clients, I have this gap because they don't pay until this time. What happens when I hit these routes? And just looking at traditional banking, I felt I almost counted myself out before even having a conversation with Amelia and Studio Bank, just to understand what things are out there. And you won't know unless you open up and have those conversations. Be willing to be transparent with someone, especially an expert in the field, who can guide you to the right direction to help you in your business. And that was a game changer, and just putting my name in a hat and not discounting myself because I don't know something. You find the person that knows, and they can help guide you. Your job is to be transparent and stick to the course of what you're seeking to do and the impact you're seeking to make.
And I'm going out of order, But Domonique, can you also provide, if someone wants to follow you, follow your journey, watch you, where can they find your business, your website, your social media, that they can follow your journey and watch you exit on this business?
Yes, we're going to exit that technology. So for me, I'm heavily on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn, Domonique Townsend. If you put a comma, LSSBB, which is Lean MBB. So Lean Six Sigma Master Black Belt after Domonique Townsend, but Domonique with an O. Domonique, last name Townsend. I'm also on Instagram, so if you want to see me in a fur and a crop top outfit or something, and speak some wisdom on some other topics, the randomness of what Domonique does, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm connected on there as well, and my website is weoptimizework.com.
Thank you. So we're going to put up your social media really quickly here, and your website. And thank you for that. So up next is Dr. Winn. Dr. Winn, any final call to action, words of wisdom, final thoughts? And then we'll also put up your social media as well.
Anyone who is an entrepreneur, or even if you have been in it for 3 or 4 years, continue to do your research. I just joined a mastermind group, and it has been very beneficial. Continuing to perfect what you do, have your plan, and work that plan. But don't think that you know it all, because we certainly don't. And find those people who are willing to give you really good advice. And sometimes joining groups like that can help you. We can be found at www.lighthouseonthelake.com. Our Facebook is simply Lighthouse on the Lake, and our Instagram is Lighthouse on the Lake 20, because that's when we were founded. So yeah, have that plan, that business plan, work that plan, and continue to do your research, because there's so much out there impacting all of our industries. Thank you, Phylanice.
Thank you. All right, Naila Burnett, you are up for last call to action, final words of wisdom, or final thoughts on your social media.
Yes, I'll say for me, energy is a dream come true, or in the way that I like to think of it, it's a vision manifested. I stayed the course, and my advice to anyone who is looking to either start or scale a business, stay the course, follow what it is that you knew you wanted to do, figure out how to get to where you're headed, and just stick by it. A lot of what happened for energy was because people saw me making the moves I said I wanted to make. People were interested in helping me to further those goals. And people were ready to support me once they saw me meeting my own self on this path. And so I say to you, if you're interested and you want to start or scale a business, visualize where it is that you're headed, and then plan for it, and then follow your plan. Plan for things to not go the way that you want them to go, and then how you will course correct so that you can get back to where you're headed. People will see you, and they'll notice, and they'll step into support. Not everyone who supports is a customer. Sometimes that support comes in the form of a bridge resource fund from someone who is watching from a distance. Sometimes it comes in the form of peers that you grow and you develop with over your journey. I'm friends with a couple of the ladies on this call. And so I say, just stay the course and remember what it is that you wanted to do, and how you visualized yourself getting there. If you want to stay in touch with the Journey for Energy, on Facebook, we're Energy, Juice, and Yoga. On Instagram, we're Energy_Juice_Yoga. And the website to reach us, if you want to check out a class or come in for some juice, is www.energyjuiceandyoga.com. Thanks, Dr. Nash.
Thank you, Naila. And Ashley, you're up. Give us a final word of thought, word of wisdom, call to action, and your social media.
I mean, I think all these ladies said a lot, and I'm going to say 100% listen to what they said. I'm going to say network. Get out and meet people. Put yourself in a room with people to just expose yourself, to let yourself be known, and to know other people. I'm also going to say find groups that truly serve you. Attract people that truly serve you. And also, if you continuously find yourself being the smartest at the table, then get up from that table and go sit at a table where you can be poured into on this journey and learn. You can find me at trilunawellness.com. You can find all of our services. You can follow us on Instagram at triluna_wellness. If you want to follow my personal journey, it's ab_the_yogi. I'm the yogi that likes to listen to gangster music. So that's what you're going to get on that page. So I hope to see you all soon.
Thank you for that. I'm going to follow you on the personal page. Tanisha Hall, last words, call to action, final thoughts, words of wisdom, and social media.
So I was writing little notes about what I would say, how I could inspire someone. It's like, okay, Domonique, dang, scratch that out. Next, scratch that out, scratch. So I just want to say ditto to everything that everyone else has said, and just make sure that you don't dim your light for anyone. When you have a dream and you want to go after that dream, don't minimize your dream to try to satisfy someone who can't see the light that you have, because that's a vision for you and it's not for everybody. So you need to make sure that you continue to shine your light and make sure that you continue to work your plan so you can continue to do well with your business. That's one thing. The second thing is I was extremely hesitant about going in, establishing a line of credit or going into debt for my business. And just working with Amelia and working with her to help understand why I needed these funds and help her understand what I needed too. We were able to get the funds and help me grow my business. So don't be hesitant about debt. There are some good debts that are out there. So, just like Amelia said before, just talk to her, reach out to her, and she'll be more than happy to walk you through the process and figure out a way that if you do qualify for the program, to actually make it work for you and help you grow your business. If you'd like to learn about what's going on in your community, we work on a lot of projects within the Nashville area that impact you. Transportation impacts everyone. And we're working on a few projects right now that are going to start coming out, but you definitely need to check us out on our website, fairpointplanning.com. You can also check us out on Instagram and on Facebook and at Fairpoint Planning. And we are more than happy to talk to you about any issues that you're having in your communities and try to come up with some potential solutions and strategies that you can implement to make sure that you can do what you need to do within your community and be more intentional on how your community is developed. And you don't have to worry about people doing stuff at you all the time. Oh, I forgot about my LinkedIn too. I have my personal LinkedIn, Tanisha J. Hall. And the business LinkedIn is Fairpoint Planning. Thank you.
Thank you. And I just have to mention, I think I just saw you on the cover of the Nashville Business Journal. Was that you?
Possibly. Yes. I haven't seen it yet. So
well, congratulations. I saw it on the e-version this morning. I'm like, that's Tanisha right there.
Oh, wow. Well, I need to go check my Nashville Business Journal then.
Yes, please do. Please do. And finally, Amelia Watts, how can our listeners, how can our viewers get in touch with you? And what are your final thoughts and words of wisdom to those who are out there listening with small businesses?
Sure. So my final thoughts for business owners, specifically Black business owners who are listening is, sometimes, unfortunately, in our community, we allow fear or the fear of not being enough to prevent us from pushing forward to even have a conversation with someone. We count ourselves out before anyone, including a bank, maybe ever would. So I would just encourage everyone to at least have a conversation with me. If right now is not the right time for you to apply for this loan, that doesn't mean a year from now or 2 years from now might not be the right time for you. And also, you may be thinking that one small thing is going to prevent you from qualifying. But honestly, a lot of the women on this call maybe had one small thing that would prevent them from going the traditional route. And this loan program came in handy and was able to offer a bridge to allow these women to move forward. And also, I'd like to say, men out there, our Black men, we are supporting you as well. Just because the first 5 loans were funded to women-owned businesses or women and men-owned businesses in the case of Jewell, it doesn't mean that we're not offering these funds to you as well. So come one, come all. I'm happy to talk to anyone and everyone. And if, again, we're not able to move forward right now with the Bridge Resource Partnership Fund and the Growth Guarantee Loan, there may be some other options or opportunities that I could discuss with you that you weren't even aware you have available to you. So if you want to find me, reach out to me at my email, which is amelia.watts@studiobank.com. You can also follow Studio Bank on Instagram at studiobank.com, or I'm sorry, at Studio Bank Nash on Instagram and Twitter. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's at Nashville Amelia. I look forward to talking to everyone out there.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So again, I want to thank all of you ladies for joining me here today and just sharing your story, sharing your journey, and how this opportunity allowed your business to bridge that gap and to keep moving. And again, yes, Amelia, it is open to men, but we're ending off Women History Month with the story of these women here, these women, Black women-owned founders. And so this was a great way to end off the History Month. So thank you to all of you and for each one of you for joining me today. And I want to give a big thanks to you, my audience, for joining us today and listening. I hope each and every one of you reach out to Amelia at Studio Bank and find out where you stand. There's a possibility that you qualify for this or you qualify for something else. But the most important thing is that you establish your relationship with a local bank. You can find the link to the Bridge Resource Partnership Fund, all of my guests' contact information, social media, and links to any resources mentioned in the show, in the episode show notes. So go to my website, Phylanice Nashe Experience.com, or check out the YouTube channel for the podcast, the Phylanice Nashe Experience Podcast. Click on this episode and you'll find the show notes there as well. Make sure you subscribe, rate, and share the Phylanice Nashe Experience Podcast, which you can find on Apple Podcasts and on YouTube. That's how you let me know you love the show. You can follow me on social media at Phylanice Nashe on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. My call to action is, if you are a Black-owned business in Middle Tennessee and your company is in the growth phase and you are seeking a funding resource, reach out to Amelia at Studio Bank, and we've provided her email, and it will also be in the show notes. Make sure you ask for the Bridge Resource Partnership Loan and that you heard about it on this show. Also, make sure that you donate. We are looking for funds to increase this Bridge Partnership Fund. All money that is loaned out and paid back then goes back into the pot so that it is available for subsequent Black-owned business owners. And during our last panel discussion, we received multiple donations during that discussion. So we appreciate all of our donors' generosity. So make sure that you go to the website for the Bridge Resource Partnership Fund and donate. And I just want to thank everyone for joining us today. And until next time, stay safe, stay well. Peace.